high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod at large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod. She's my hot rod.
Let's see. Hey, you're on with the car guy. What's up?
Morning, car guy.
Yeah.
This is Roy,
Hi, Roy.
and I have a question for you.
All right, buddy.
I have a 1999 built, but it was titled as a 2000 Ford E150 that has got the 4.6 V8 in it. It's my understanding that engine, along with the 5.4s, have plastic intake manifolds. What I would like to do is to try to be able to track down on that manifold to see if I've got a hole or a crack in it. My question is, could I use a measured amount of air as a supply to be able to track a leak, similar to like doing a cylinder leak down on a cylinder?
You know what? You can. You can do that. We use our smoke machine, and we blow smoke in the manifold. But those plastic, manifolds have another problem. You know, that is such a common problem on that vehicle, and of course the Crown Vics and everyone else that's got that plastic manifold. They leak antifreeze by the thermostat housing. They crack because the EGR valve tube is right there. They just seem to crack right there all the time. Those manifolds are so popular, you can buy them in a parts store. You don't even have to go to Ford to buy them. You can buy them at any parts store you want. You can buy a new, but you can't buy anything but a plastic one. Now, Dorman Products says theirs is better and will last. I don't know.
You said Dorman?
Dorman. You can buy them at any parts store.
Okay, I'm familiar with Dorman.
Yeah, and you can buy them in any parts store, and supposedly they won't crack again. I haven't had to replace.
Okay.
I have not had to replace one yet, buddy. So I'm saying it's been a long time. We've had them out there on the road, and they're standing up. But that's a cracking.
Okay.
That is
terrible. I've heard of the smoke machine, but they're pretty pricey, and that's why I thought maybe I could use something like a cylinder leak down with a small measured amount of air to try to be able to track down a vacuum leak by using pressurized that enough to be able to track air pressure.
Well, the other thing with that running, those manifolds aren't so much as the intake plenum area where they leak vacuum. Get yourself a bottle of propane from the hardware store, and just lightly spray little bits of propane around where you think there might be a crack, and if the engine will rev up if there's a crack.
Okay, I'm with you.
And that's a lot safer than spraying carb spray or ether or anything like
You're
that.
You're right. I run that route, but that's a good thought.
I always run propane. I
appreciate you taking my phone call.
No problem, buddy. Let me know how it works out for you.
Appreciate the advice, sir.
Let me know how it works out for you, buddy.
I definitely will. And you and I should talk before March about the work truck show down in Indianapolis.
Absolutely, we should.
Stay safe. Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year to you.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
Bye now.
Thanks, bye. Yeah, that's the way you can find those vacuum leaks. Use a propane bottle. Just a little rubber hose on it. Just add a little propane to certain areas and see if the engine revs up, and sure enough, there's your leak. First and foremost, Mark Fields. Mark Fields ran Ford for 28 years. Now, as CEOs of big companies go, 28 years is a successfully long time. Means you're pretty good. Well, he's retired. We got a new guy. We're gonna talk to him in a minute. You watch. I got a little something to tell you about this new guy. I'll give you his name when I get there. But goodbye, Mark Fields. You're gone. Australian auto manufacturing. Now, this is sad. General Motors had a plant over there, GM Holden, and it has been a plant there since 1931. They've been building cars and vehicles, probably Jeeps and stuff during the war. I don't know, or staff cars during the war. But anyway, Australia will now not have one automobile manufacturer. All their automobiles have to be imported. Lincoln's MK series. The MK nameplate is gone. So you won't have an MKZ and MKZD. You won't have, all that's gone. Lincoln is completely revamping and interchanging all kinds of cool stuff. Look for that to happen. I think that's not a bad thing. Some of those were pretty bad. I'm going to miss this little guy, the Honda Coupe, the Honda Accord. The Accord, as far as I'm concerned, was the mainstay of Honda. But after this year, say goodbye to the mainstay of Honda. And I have two other guys that I want to tell you about. One is Ludwig Willisch. Ludwig Willisch. Woo, that's easy to say. He was a young man in college selling Porsches to get through school. He stayed in the automobile business and ended up, now this is a true success story. He ended up as the chief CEO of BMW. Obviously, this is over in Germany. He was in school. Because Porsche is made there in the BMW. That's Bavarian Motor Works. We know what that is. Anyway, he made him the biggest luxury brand. He actually was running the BMW American operations for the longest time and made them the best luxury brand sales in America. There's a success story for you kids. You know, he was a Porsche salesman, and now he's retired as the CEO of BMW. John Mendel. John Mendel is a guy that I've actually had email conversations with. He is the head of Honda's response team for the Takata airbag recall. This is where Honda, and this is why I was so impressed with Honda, and I've told you this before. I am impressed with Honda taking charge and being proactive in their response to these airbags. They have found a different airbag supplier now, and they're changing all the airbags they can. They're going out to junkyards and looking for them, so that nobody gets hurt in a junkyard when they explode in one of their cars. And I got to tell you, Honda's had the most people killed in Takata airbags. They lead the league. Yeah, that's a sad thing. But that guy, that's a pretty impressive fella. And while I've never met him, he looks to be about my age, and he's retiring now. But he was the head of Honda's Takata airbag response team. Good guy. Good guy. I want to give you, I don't know if you want them, but I'm going to give them to you. I mean, I'm sitting here sipping She Who Will Be Obeyed's coffee. She makes the best coffee in God's green earth, and it makes me happy. Anyway, I want to give you a couple of my predictions for this year, and if you can hold me to it, and if I mess up down the road, so write it down, because if I mess up, you can call me and say, "Hey, knucklehead, you did it wrong." Well, let's see what I say. First and foremost, Uber is going to have a very, very quiet year. You will hear no more about Uber for a while. You'll hear about them, but it won't be like Uber's been on fire for about 3 months, and it's not a good fire. It's a devastating fire, is what it is. I mean, they're getting clobbered. Them poor guys, it's just terrible. Every time you turn around, Uber's sexual harassment or you name it, they're just in for it. Lyft. Lyft is growing too fast as far as I'm concerned. They're going to be spread too thin to deal with their commitments. Lyft is going to have a problem this year. They're going to have to rethink their way of doing business. Okay? Here's one that you probably my buddies Chuck Pullen and Simon Leon will never, or Leon Simon will never agree to. But I believe that automakers will be scaling back their self-driving efforts. They're going to cool them for a while. Let's get this electric thing fixed up. Let's see if we can make the best electric car. And they will. And they will. And I got to tell you, you want to know why? I just pulled an article out, and I haven't done the research on this yet, but I'm going to tell you in advance. You heard it here first. General Motors is making a Corvette. I believe you'll see it in the middle of 2018 to the end of 2018. An 800 horsepower electric Corvette. Are you ready for that? And it's not just General Motors. There's a company involved in this that is transforming this Corvette into an electric monster. 240 mile an hour monster with no noise. The only noise you're going to hear is the road. Wow. Chinese electric vehicle startups will take over the headlines. I read an article the other day, and that's all I do is read articles and watch. Of course, I do some research work at work. But electric vehicle startups in China are huge. Everybody wants a piece of the action. Everybody wants in. They didn't have this many car makers as they're going to have electric car makers. They only had about 3 car manufacturers in China. They're going to have 20 electric car makers. I don't know how that's going to work out for them, but guess what? God bless them. And my last prediction, and you know I was going to do it. You know I was going to do it. Tesla. My buddy Elon Musk will continue to not meet his production quotas, his goals. He just can't get those cars made. Elon, you might do this. Take a little advice from an old car guy. Start treating your people decent so you don't have to fire them or they don't quit or they don't complain about the conditions at the plant. It might be you might try dealing with the people. They're building your cars for you. You might want to work with them instead of against them. Just my thought. And if I'm wrong, feel free to call me up there, Chucky Pullen, and tell me that he's really making his numbers, because he's not going to.